We got to visit Edmund Rice Center. This is one of the best centers. I mean, I got to have an amazing tour, and I can assure you that you're going to love it. So Edmund Center focuses on restoring the dignity of those living, not living rather, but with disabilities, and also the vulnerable adults as well as children. But of course, we are going to get it from the horse's mouth. I'm joined by George, who will of course give us an overview of what Edmund Rice Center is all about. Karibu sana, George. And thank you so much for the amazing tour that you gave me today. Nimefurahi sana. Always welcome and thank you. Yes. Yeah, so what's your title here at Edmund Rice Center?
So by the name I go by George, as we have said. At Edmund Rice, I'm the project coordinator, special needs. Just like Edmund Rice is a program by itself that encompasses 3 projects. That is a special needs education that I coordinate. And then we have advocacy and community outreach that is coordinated by my colleague called Cyprian Omoding. And then we have socioeconomic empowerment that is coordinated by my another colleague called Anduko. Then we have the 4th project that was started this year, January, that is called health and nutrition, that is coordinated by Esther Ndungu.
Oh, wow. Yes. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. That's why we said Edmund Rice is just a program.
Yes.
So within it, there are other clusters that we call the project that does different things. But the main focus is on the child with disability.
Okay.
Yes.
So what inspired it? What inspired the center itself?
Actually, the center was started back in 2007 as Mary Rice Center, and was started by Christian brothers who just came by, who were just walking and passed by. Then they saw the need from the community. So they found that there were so many children that were in need of food. So they started bringing in the children to the center, giving them food as a daycare, and then they were going back home. So they came and saw that there was no need of only giving food, but there was something that was supposed to be given to them that could sustain them further. So it was changed as Mary Rice Daycare Center. So it started back in 2007 with only 7 children. So as days goes by, it has always grown up to where we are.
And where are we now? How many children do you have?
Currently we have 75 that are currently in the list, but because of the limited resources, we are not able to enroll so many children. So there are others in the waiting list. So what we do, first of all, we do the assessment. So it is the assessment that gives us the diagnosis of the children. So from there we write the treatment plan for the child, whether to be enrolled in the special school or enrolled in the regular institution. So Edmund Rice, under the special needs project, we cater for 3 types of disability. That is autism spectrum disorder, intellectual disability, and neurological disorders. So from the assessment, we get the type of disability. If the type of disability of diagnosis is within the 3 that we deal with, the child will be enrolled in our center. If it is outside that, because we know that disability contains around 13 types. So if they are out of the 3, we now refer the client to other institution that caters for the needs of that child. So at Edmund Rice, the special needs project, we have other activities. So our main activities there is to restore the dignity of people with disability. So when they are enrolled, what we do, we take them through basic learning skills. Under basic learning skills, they do the 3R, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And then we have the other component that we call adaptive skills. That is activities of daily living. Because not all children with disability will excel in academic. So those who cannot excel in academic, we take them to activities of daily living. This is where we do the grooming, we do the bathing, we have toileting, we have identification of personal items, storage of them, so that by the time they are leaving the center, they're not able to stand by themselves. What we want to see is social integration in the community. Yes.
And I think what you've mentioned is a very important point on it's not all students or maybe all individuals that are going to succeed in the, excelling in the academics and stuff like that. And even for us normal, the other people, that's just the same thing. So I think that's a very important aspect. So maybe from the tour that you've been able to give me, I've been able to see that you have different classes for different things. And I was really amazed by the amazing work that these kids have done. Maybe just give us an overview of the program, how it runs, and what a normal day looks like for the kids whenever they come here.
So we have said, just like from the assessment that we have said, we do the placement of the children.
Right.
So within the center, we have 3 categories of classes. That is the foundation. The foundation is composed of the beginners. That is around age 4 to around age 7. So what happens there is now they are just given the hand-based skills that will enable them acquire skills in concentration, so that they get prepared to go to the next level.
Right.
So the next level is where we call the intermediate. Intermediate entails 8 years up to 12 years. So when it comes to intermediate, they are now given that kind of basic academic work, the reading, the writing a little bit, because there are some who sometimes improves. So when they improve, we now enroll them back to the community in the regular schools for inclusion. So those who cannot excel in academic work, we now promote them to pre-vocation class. So in the pre-vocation class, they are now given activities, the hand-based activities in preparation of the exit. Because we are looking into it that not all the children will be here permanently. There's a time comes that they will be able to be standalone. So for us to make them stand alone, they will now have the vocational skills. So through the vocational skills, it is designed that we have now 5 activities. One, they are trained on tailoring, depending on their ability, age, and interest. Then the next category, we have catering. They are also trained on that. Then we have hair and beauty, hair, beauty, and cosmetics. There are some that are doing that. Then we have beadwork, we have tapestry, artwork, and then we have mat making. Then we also have the farm, as you went around and saw. There are some who are interested in the farm. So in the farm, we have 2 categories. We have animal husbandry, where we do the poultry keeping and the pig keeping, pig rearing. And then we have the farming part of it, where we have the crop production. We have the greenhouse section, where we do the veggies, and then we have the open field for demonstration. So this one also give opportunity for the community also to come and get some skills on how to do the urban farming. Because as you know, we are within the town, and specifically to the Kibera slums. So we don't have bigger plots to allow them do the farming. So once they have been trained on urban farming, they have the skills, we give them the opportunity and some space to make them be able to instill whatever they have been taught, so that they can get something to take home to take care of the family.
Right. And I'm very much curious. So how is it training them? Because I think most of the time, even for us as human beings, or rather even as adults, trying to learn something new can be quite challenging and difficult. But what has been your experience in how they grasp this content? Because I've been able to see the beads they've made, the mats, the bags also. So how is it training them, and how do they pick up on the knowledge?
What I can say is that we people, the neurotypical people, think that people with disability cannot do something. That's why we say that disability is not inability. But as we had told you earlier, our hashtag at Edmund Rise is always give us opportunity but not sympathy. So everything within disability field is about persistence. Because even if you go to the Bible, there's a verse that talks about the lawyer and the widow. That widow got justice because of the persistence. In the field of disability, for a skill to be learned, we based it on the 2 P. P number 1 talks about patience. You need to be patient with that person, no matter how long it will take. They say no matter how long the night is, dawn will always come. The dawn will be when the skill is learned. Then the second P is patience.
Persistence.
Persistence, sorry. We need to be persistent. Whatever you do today, do it. Make a follow-up. That's why most of the activities we involve the parents to enhance that continuity. If option A is done at school, it should also be done at home, so that there should be that level ground where the skill is learned.
And you've mentioned about parents. So is that how maybe you carry out the admission? Parents come and bring their kids?
Definitely. What we do, when I was starting up, we talked about the components of Edmund Rise. So the advocacy part of it deals with the community, the attitudinal change of the society, and then the rights of people with disability outside there. So due to that, people now come out. That negative attitude of the parents of keeping the children at home, they now come out of their cocoon and accept the children. So when they bring them, we do the assessment. So from the assessment, we get the diagnosis. So it is the diagnosis that will entails where to place the child.
Yeah, and you mentioned that now if maybe you don't have that capability, you can take them to somewhere that
yes, there are other institutions that we are working with.
Okay.
Yes, where we can refer the children.
Right.
Yes.
And what you're doing is very noble and it's good. And I think this is the very first time I've gotten to interact with such an institution. But I'm guessing in your capacity and in everything you try to bring together, you try to break the norm. But I understand that you could be also facing challenges. So what are some of the challenges and drawbacks that you experience?
Yeah, there are a lot of challenges that we have. One of them is means of transport. As a center, we do not have our own means of transport.
Right.
So that makes it most of the parents, it breaks that continuity of bringing children to school. Because these children grow every now and then. So some parents opt to bring their children by carrying them to school.
Right.
So when they grow older, that's how the way it makes parents not to bring them to school. So some of them just stay at home. So fortunately enough, we have one of our parents who happened to be a PSV driver. So he decided to change his vehicle from PSV to the means of transport to be bringing children to the center. And that is it's still not enough.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the fuel comes from him. So if he doesn't have some cash to fuel the car stays back at home.
Right.
Secondly, he's only one person. He doesn't have a conductor. So he's the one to carry the children from the house to the bus, then take them back to home. Yeah, so that is a very, very big challenge. The mobility devices. Then the second one, we are talking about the issue of staffing, because we depend on well-wishers. So you find that currently we have 75 against 5 teachers. So that means that the ratio is 1 to 15, which is so cumbersome, because the ministry talks about 1 to 4, depending on the severity of the disability. So staffing is also
Okay, all right. Now we will be taking a very, very short break, but once we come back, there's still more that we need to discuss with George, so please do not go far.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
If Tekra was 100%, I used to just breathe in 5% of her brain, because she was so smart.
You need to God, but you do your part, you fight justice.
Mystery of floating bodies in River Yala continues to deepen after 7 more bodies were retrieved from the river.
Nobody had that right to take that life.
It's a bad feeling. Terrible.
When we got to court, we noticed a lot of surveillance on our team.
Nikiwafikiria ama nione picha zao, mimi nalianga usiku mzima. Hata kama vijana wangu watarudi, lakini sitawasahau.
This is the last door.
Usiyakubalie maumivu ya misuli kukatiza ratiba yako. Kaluma Pain Balm ni dawa ya kusugua iliyotengenezwa kutoka kwa miche maalum ili kutuliza maumivu ya misuli. Kaluma Pain Balm. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari. You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. Remember, we are the Edmund Rice Center, and remember, this is the one place that is not only giving hope to children with disabilities, but also giving them purpose. And we were just having a conversation with George, and I had earlier on mentioned during the tour, you took me to a room where I found a lady giving therapy to one of the kids. So what really goes on in a therapy room, and what kind of conditions do you allocate towards the therapy side?
So, just as I've said, therapy acts as a supportive service to children with disability. So most of the institution should have it, because learning goes hand in hand with therapy services. So for example, in our institution, we said that we cater for 3 types of disability, that is intellectual disability, autism spectrum disorder, and neurological disorders. So more so with the neurological disorder, this is now where we have the cerebral palsy. So you know very well that most of them might have a difficulty in the joint range of motion. We have the muscle strengthening. Some muscle might be floppy, some might be flaccid. So with the help of an OT, they can be brought back to the average, in which the child can now be able to enhance. We are now trying to enhance that functional ability of the child. Like for example, a child with a floppy muscle, he or she will not be able to even hold a pen or even hold a cup or even squat in the toilet when they're going for toileting. So with the help of an OT working on the muscle tone, at least when they are brought to the average part of it, they are now be able to activate the muscle strength, and then they will be able to adapt to the activities that they're supposed to be doing, like writing and feeding and the rest. Yes.
Okay.
Then also autism, we take them through there's something we call the sensory circuit, where we just help them, we just give them an activity that will help calm them down to be able to settle into an activity. More so those who with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So with the OT, with the help of an OT, they are now able to settle down, calm down, and then they're able to perform an activity within the day. Yes.
Okay. And maybe with your experience and what is going on here, I think you have mentioned in the code of conduct that you gave us to read an aspect of how you treat them, because I got to witness what was happening at the kitchen. You find that the lady was not personally taking the food to each one of them. They may be able differently, but she wasn't doing that. And I asked her why, and she mentioned that you have to train them to be independent. You have to show them that, you can do this, you can do that. So maybe is this an aspect you try to apply even with the kids here to make sure that, you don't treat them any differently from what a normal kid would?
Yeah, actually, as we had said, that we always say that each and every person, when given opportunity, they will be able to prosper in any field that they are given to. What it needs to be done is just to make the environment conducive for that individual. Everything can be learned. So we have come to learn that most children with disability, even though they lack a lot of aspects in as far as neurotypical persons are concerned, but with them, they learn through imitation. That's why during feeding time, we don't confine them into a place, even within the classes. We bring them in an open place so that they can eat together. Through this, others are able to learn from others how to feed by themselves. Because most of them are brought to school when they're being fed. Some even feed direct from the plate, mouth to the plate, the way animals do. So, but with given time, training, they are able to do. Because our main objective is to enhance independence. So that independence, if it is enhanced, because most of the times when we are talking about the caregivers or the parents, they say that if I have my child, I'm not even able to go to work. Meaning that nobody within the premises accepts to remain back with the child. So it means that this parent is always with the child every now and then. So what we want to show them is that this child can also be independent. That's why we are gearing them towards independence. We call them by their names. They're able to understand instructions. They take instructions. So by doing so, they're able to understand that after I've taken my lunch or after I've taken my supper, I need to carry this plate to where it's supposed to be. I need to clean the table. So those are kind of the small things that we do with them. And with time, they are able to accumulate to bigger things.
And I've been able to see that firsthand. And you've mentioned about having individuals who are even now helping others after having gone through all the training and the skill learning. So do you have like a head girl or a head boy who leads the team?
Yeah, we have organized them into that because we are now trying to make them understand that sometimes there are people who must be leaders to help guide others. So we need to start from there. We need to give them responsibilities. They have been trained so far in so many aspects of responsibility. Like for example, when they come in the morning, they know that the compound must be clean. So they have to walk around picking litters around. When it comes to break time, after they have taken their porridge, they need to, some of them just collect the cups, take them to the kitchen. There's a place where they are designated for them to clean them. After lunch, the same. Even serving, some of them help in in serving. When they come in the morning, there are those who cannot walk. Some help in carrying them and wheeling them inside the classes with the wheelchair.
Right.
So there is that sense of responsibility that has been bestowed into them.
Right.
And that is what we want to multiply, whether they are in school or they're at home.
So when it comes to the experience you've had with different parents bringing in their kids, I understand that sometimes the care that they get from their homes can translate into how they pick up on the, education here and how they adapt to it. So what would you say has been, of assistance, especially from parents, in how they coordinate with them? Do you maybe experience differences in how they react, closely related to how it is in their homes?
Yeah, definitely. And this one depicts with the cultures and the environment in which we have.
Yeah.
That's the reason as to why at Edmund Rice we have the component of advocacy to help in working with the demystification of disability in the society. Because we find that when the first time a parent understands that they have given birth to a child with disability, there is a grieving stage that we call the SABDA, the shock, bargaining, acceptance, denial. So by the time the parents got the prognosis of the case at that particular time. So it depends with if the child, the parent or the caregiver accepts the condition earlier, they will start the journey of treatment. But if they start late, then the treatment will also be done will be late. And that's the reason as to why some of them don't really get an impact at the end of it. Yes, so some of them will just go by maintenance. Like when it comes to therapy, if you contact them early, the therapy will be started early, the milestone will be achieved as early as possible. But it gotten late. Like for example, we are talking about those who might require the correctional surgery. There are some extent at age that the correctional surgery cannot be done. So what will be done will only be the maintenance therapy, which could have been taken care of, like the club foot. It's something that can be corrected easily. But when it is identified late, rectification will be a problem. So somebody will have to live with that throughout their lives.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that cuts across in almost every avenue there is. When you are quick to accept, then that means you can start the process of recovery even way faster. And you've mentioned that it also translates even for the kids. And I think that's a challenge to parents, because at times, unajua ule mtoto amezaliwa, they may not be in a position to understand what is going on in their body. But now it becomes worse when even the parent themselves cannot get to that point of acceptance. And I get it can be difficult, but even for parents watching, I think it's really advisable to have that acceptance so that you can start assisting the kid as soon as possible, especially if it's something you really can't change. And maybe on the same note, maybe you can just give us a picture of the kind of improvements that you've witnessed even from the kids themselves. You mentioned even some of them come and they're not able to feed themselves. Through therapy they're able to. So what has been the impact overall of everything and every activity that you spearhead in this place?
Yeah, we are saying that the presence of Edmund Rice, it has really created a very, very good impact in the society at large, more so within Kibra. Because we are saying that currently, to some extent, there were some children who are still being locked up into the houses. But through the avenue of advocacy, most of the parents are now coming out with their children. They are now asking for assistance. Through the discussion that we always have in the radios that we have around the Pamoja FM that we go to, the kind of discussion that we have, parents ask questions through that place, people ask for referrals. I think we have really created an impact within the community. That's why we are not tiring. We want to create more impact. An example, there's a child who was born without hands. They are merely a condition. When that child was brought here, to some extent he was enrolled in one of our classes. But within some times, the child was trained on how to write using the leg. And currently he's in grade 3 at Joytown Thika.
Wow.
And this is the child who was staying back at home simply because he didn't have legs. So we are saying that there are so many things that these people can do. That's why we are saying that it is upon us that we need to give these people opportunity. we should not sympathize with them.
True,
Yes.
true, very true.
Yeah.
And I think even from the previous interviews we've done, at some point they were saying, don't come and tell me sorry because I'm disabled. I mean, will you tell me sorry today, tomorrow, and the other day?
Exactly.
No. But tell me congratulations for making it this far. You know, empowerment is all that these people need. And maybe as we wind up on the last question, so I understand that this is in Kibera. So what is the gap? How is the gap here when it comes to how people deal with, you know, children with disabilities as well as teenagers, which, you know, you could tell us why you even made this center to be in this particular place, the center of Kibra.
So we are saying that looking at Kibra as an informal settlement, we know there are a lot of challenges that encompasses the informal settlements. But people with disability are the ones who are always hit the most.
Yeah.
So the reason was that most people within Kibra were hiding the children in the houses. Most of the parents, they have these children, they're not able to go out to work. So you know there are a lot of negativity in them. Most of the parents, they see that is the end of life.
Yeah.
So we are now trying to bring in Edmund Rice to show them that behind that disability there is an ability.
Yes.
That's why we are saying that it will take a special person to understand what a special child wants.
Yeah.
So the presence of Edmund Rice is just creating, just like that lamp that is lit and placed on top of a hill to create light to everybody. That's why we are now ensuring that Edmund Rice strives not only to this place but to serve people the whole country.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. I mean, you can tell from the moment I walked in, I've been moved with everything. The details in everything is just so breathtaking and moving. And I think what we need is more of this. What we need is more institutions to understand the fact that it's not about trying to sympathize with them. It's not enough to sympathize. It's not enough to provide food and to provide these other things. There's other things that we can equip these children with that will change their lives forever. Because now I got to see the kind of art they apply, the preciseness, just how it's so mind-blowing. I don't know even what to say. But all in all, we can really, really learn from what this institution is doing, Edmund Rice Center. It's it's like a revolution of everything, because now from these kids having this knowledge, the first-hand information, 5 years, 10 years from now, I see them changing the world. I see them changing the society around them. And I think it's time for parents to now come out and bring the kids so that they can get assisted, because if you put them at home, you may never know what kind of talent or ability this kid will have. And not all of them are equipped to just excel in school and studies. We have seen how they have different things for different people, and they've been able to embrace it, and with that they've been able to succeed. So with that, I do hope you've gotten inspired to stretch an arm and aid institutions like this in order to continue with the purpose